Keeshan Pillay has extensive experience working with a variety of startups and public companies in a sales environment, and he has really managed all phases of the sales cycle across many different companies and many different sectors. So please give him a very warm welcome. Keeshan.
Hi. The Lakehouse, what is that? I mean, I think today we talk about the Lakehouse platform. The data lake's here to stay. You know, we've been using data lakes for a long time. We use it for all sorts of things today, for storage, right? And as we're growing, as data is growing, as we sat in this room today, each one of us has a multitude of devices, and we're leaving touch points of data everywhere we go. And that data is going to be stored somewhere. And hence the reason the Lakehouse has become so relevant today. If we look at the slide on the left, we can see data democratization, support initiatives, faster time to value. These are all topics people are having today within their own organizations. And the reality is, if we look at the right-hand side, data is growing rapidly, as I've just mentioned. And of course, access requests are becoming more and more important because data teams and people within the business want that democratized data. And of course, budgets being flat and talent being scarce. This is exactly what's happening around the globe today, not just in our region, right? And if we look at where data's been and where we're going to, you can see, going back to the Hadoops, now moving into 2015 and onwards, we look at the way the cloud lake and the data warehouses are going on, and of course the data lake going forward. And this is relevant because we can see the way, the cloud strategy is going with most organizations. And we can see that from the 3 players within the region or around the world today, and how the cloud data lake markets have grown so rapidly over this period of time. And this is the reason why, volume of data, velocity, and of course, whether you're looking at cloud or on-premise, this is why it's so important today to have an environment where you can have access to your data in the cloud or on-premise. This is a very, very interesting slide. We've built this particular slide with several of our customers. And, if you look at where, as I've mentioned, the cloud data lakes, and then we talk about the data warehouses, and of course, cubes and extracts. And if we look at this particular slide, and I'll pause here for a second, because I'm sure if you look at this pyramid of doom, a lot of customers are in the same scenario on a day-to-day basis today. Everybody's looking at this, or in my experience, based on the customers we've built this slide with, we seem to find that process from having your data on the lake, the ETL process into a data warehouse, ultimately creates those cubes and extracts. And that, of course, takes weeks and months, if we think about that, to be able to get all of that information into one place, and that decreases the scope of work. What we say is that with Dremio, it's a completely no-copy architecture. We'll put Dremio's SQL engine directly onto your lake, whether that's on-premise or in the cloud, and we'll reduce the time. Still giving you access to your data science teams, your dashboard teams, and your applications. For you to be able to gain access on that analytics much quicker. It's a simplified architecture. And if we look at this slide, when we look at the pyramid of doom, or we go back to the pyramid of doom, this really talks to that, right? Those access requests coming in from people within the organization, and that takes time. Then you've got to go through the extracts and the data engineering teams. And then, of course, once you start analyzing that data, you've got to publish that data. And that usually takes a long time, between 4 to 6 weeks that process could take, and in some cases a lot longer. With Dremio, or with our product, we're saying we could do that within 2 to 3 days. And you can see that from the request to exploring data, creating the virtual marts, and then publishing that, testing and publishing that data within a couple of days. And this is why, it's a fast architecture. Making the data engineers more productive. And data engineering teams want to be more productive today. And of course, you want to democratize data with your users. Everybody wants access to data today, and ultimately reducing, infrastructure costs. And I think this particular slide is quite important for a couple of reasons as to why we're relevant in the space. I won't focus on the first two, that's pretty relevant, but the second two, we are the co-creators of Apache Arrow, and that's done about 50 million times a month. And of course, Subsurface Live, which is a data lakehouse conference. We've had over 10,000 attendees attend that conference. And that's, for people like yourself, the industry's looking at these things, and when we look at Apache Arrow, that's become an industry standard right now. You know, and of course the Lakehouse conference, because this is the future, this is where we're going. And at that point, I believe I am done. That's within 9 minutes. Wow. Any questions? I'll go back a few. If you'd like. No? No questions. Thank you very much for your time, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.